Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself. I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What's going on, everybody? It is a Win Ticket Wednesday here on the KSL Sports Zone. I love how that's what I'm leading with. So we're handing free stuff out, man. It's fine.
It's a good way to start a show.
Get excited about it. We'll give some stuff out.
It's going to get everyone's attention.
Well, plus, guess what, JJ? It's another shortened show.
What?
I know. The Mammoth are going back-to-back. You go from Boston to Detroit, and Boston was a mess last night, first of all. It was not a fun game to watch. It was painfully obvious after the first period that the Bruins were in control of that game. They kind of figured out they cracked the Mammoth defensive code, I guess, last night, and they were just in front of the net the rest of the second and third periods. They went 4-1, and it probably could have been way worse. There were so many missed opportunities in front of the goal by the Bruins, and they come out of there with the win. And the Mammoth are going to have to pick it all up quickly and turn it around against the Detroit Red Wings tonight. You're going to get a 4:30 pregame right here on the KSL Sports Zone and a 5:30 puck drop. So early hockey tonight. Merry Christmas, everybody. Early hockey for everybody. I love it. I mean, the honest truth is that the good news is we get to be able to dip in on these early games a little bit better, a little bit more. And, but it wasn't fun to watch last night. And my kids want to turn it off as soon as they start seeing the losses in the books. It goes to 3-1. And one of my sons like, turn it off. I'm done.
Didn't they learn anything on Sunday?
I know. Yeah, and there was part of me that just hung on for that. But what was weird was there was no furious feel like a comeback was going to happen in that third period. They were just flat, man. And struggled a little bit in the goal with VTech last night. We'll see what happens. I'm assuming Veggie might get the start tonight. Probably. That's why they rested.
On back-to-backs, you're never gonna. On rare occasions, do you go back-to-back with a goaltender?
So in the end, it wasn't a fun hockey game to watch, but it was less fun for the people who were there in the building. And we're going to be chatting with Mike Folta, the radio play-by-play of the Utah Mammoth, of course. And let's kick off the show officially, as we always do, with the cut. Let's jump in right here, top of the program.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Trajan Wealth brings you this portion of the program. TRAJAN Wealth.com. That's TrajanWealth.com for all your trusted local needs in retirement. So the Mammoth are staying on the road. You try to go 500 on the road in the NHL. You got to get out there and try to at least split it and then come home and try to win 2/3 of those, and then you've got yourself maybe 100 points by the end of the season. And this team's got a lot of work still yet to do. The 2 wins that they had gotten were nice, and it was great to be able to go into Boston with that. But, it starts to show that the depth isn't necessarily all there, and I think that, I don't know. To me, it just seemed like the team had moments, and they converted on the first power play of the night, right? I mean, like, that's been their big struggle, but
it jumped out to a lead, right?
They jumped out to a lead, and then when they gave it up late in the first period, I was like, ooh, okay, well, we'll see what happens. But again, something that happened in this game that really bugged me was the fact that you could tell that there wasn't that the movement wasn't there. That all the things that Boston did, it seemed like Boston was on a power play the entire third period. And it just happens like that. That's the way that it goes. I'm interested to see what Mike's view is of it. But as we go on, as we're sitting there watching this one, and you're wanting this team to pull some points back, it's been hard because they'll have moments where they look good. But even if you went, I think part of this was that Cole told us as well. Yeah, it was nice to get the comeback win the other night when they were in Pittsburgh, but they didn't look very good doing it like the rest of the way.
Well, when you fall behind 3-0 into the third period, things didn't go well for you for 2/3 of that game. So, yeah, there's issues there. There's no doubt about that. And you saw the issues last night. The problem was they were playing a better team last night that didn't take their foot off the gas. That Bruins team finished really well in the third period. And the Penguins blew a 4-1, 5-1 lead to the Sharks the night before. So
yeah,
that's an issue that the Penguins have. But the Mammoth faced a much better opponent last night. The Boston Bruins right now have 40 points on the season. They're in second place, just 1 point behind the team they're playing tonight, the Detroit Red Wings, who are at 41 points. It does not get any easier tonight.
It's pronounced Detroit, by the way, if you're wondering.
Well.
I mean, I didn't want to correct.
Are we going to get? Maybe we need to ask Mike. What's the proper way for us in Utah to pronounce Detroit?
Yeah, Mike Folta, live in Detroit. Let's see if that Purdue education helps us out here. What does Detroit even mean in French? I don't know what's going on here, Mike.
Detroit, that's a great question, guys. Detroit in French translates to almost Canada, because that's where we are right now. Actually, if you go due south of here, you'll end up in Ontario. Kind of a weird geographical anomaly that many aren't aware of, especially out west. But guys, we're here at Little Caesars Arena. I'll show you kind of the digs we got here. This is an awesome setup. We are way high above the ice, and we're in like a gondola. So if I go out the door here, and for those listening on radio, I'm going to do my best play-by-play. If we go out the door into this hallway, there's actually like seats behind us. Like these seats are looking down underneath our feet. So that's it's mostly a Canadian kind of setup that we have here, but Detroit, like I said, almost Canada. So check it out.
You know what? You actually weren't that far off. We're going to educate people today. You ready for this? Because it is French for the word straight, like the word, like the Bering Strait or the Strait of Juan de Fuca, that kind of thing. So that body of water, because it was originally the strait it was basically, Detroit was called Detroit something rather, basically the strait to get to Lake Erie. So we've all learned something today. You can't say that JJ and Alex didn't teach you a little bit of French that you decided not to learn when you were in high school. So
I got to be honest. So this is way too much geography for a sports talk radio show.
Hey, 5th grade geography beat champion, all right?
Hey, 7th,
right here.
8th grade right here.
See, look, we have a background in it. So obviously it's something that's important.
I love the conversation. I don't know if everyone listening is. So we got to talk some hockey, Mike. What's your take on last night? What did you see last night? What went right and what went wrong for this team? Obviously, the score went wrong. Was it that big of a gap, or is it just a little thing here or there? What was your take on the way things went last night in Boston?
Yeah, I mean, it was a disappointing second 2 periods of the game, the second and third, where Utah only mustered up 8 total shots. Like, you can't have that against a really good Boston team or a really good defensive Boston team. And I said this kind of at the end of the night on the radio, and then on our show, Mammoth Daily, as well. Styles make fights. You hear that phrase in college basketball, college football, different sports. Styles make fights, and Utah and Boston had contrasting styles, where the Bruins are big and burly on defense. They're one of the biggest teams. They have a bunch of these huge defensemen. They hit you. Mammoth are the opposite of that, where especially up front and in their top 6, those are the top 2 forward lines. They have smaller, speedier guys that are more based on possession. Utah doesn't worry about hitting you as much because they want the puck, and you can't hit somebody when you have the puck. So different styles, when they meet in a game, they create great clashes, and I think just the style of Boston won out in that game, but it was Utah's style that won out earlier in the season. Andre Tourney, whoa! They're testing the audio here at Little Caesars if you can't tell.
I love it.
This is very raw, but head coach Andre Tourney not happy with the group's lack of pushback in the second period the other night. So expecting a good turnaround here against a really good Detroit team.
Liam O'Brien at the very end, the ref kind of did a little takedown on him, but he was furious. And I think that, when there's 4 seconds left or whatever it was, 9 seconds left, and then you start kind of pushing back and getting after guys, that's probably the wrong time to do it. I was wondering, too, that back and forth with the ref, because it was kind of aggressive. I don't know. Hockey is a different sport, but, is he going to get in trouble for that type of a lash out there? Because he was kind of shoving the refs aside as that thing was going on there. I don't know if anything came of it.
No, it's not quite like basketball, where if you accidentally make contact with the ref. Can you guys hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah, we do. We do.
Oh,
you're good, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like basketball, where if you accidentally nick the ref's finger
Gone.
than, oh, yeah, tee him up. Because in hockey, the linesmen basically are trying to separate an MMA fight. So these guys also have to be trained in how to handle hand-to-hand combat, because a lot of times the linesmen end up with two hockey players that are both mad at them for trying to break up the fight. So these guys are very well trained at handling those situations. I had a good buddy I went to school with who was a pro linesman, and the stories that he would tell of getting punches in the face accidentally and things like that are kind of funny, because you don't think of that. Referees getting beat up, officials getting beat up. But that's something those guys have to live with. It was a little aggressive. You can get supplemental discipline for abuse of officials, but I don't think that's what we had the other night. So Obi's expected to be in the lineup tonight against Detroit, and it's a national TV game here at Little Caesars Arena. Liam O'Brien has 2 goals tonight. Both have come on national TV nights. That's why we call him Primetime Tuna.
Let's hope Tuna gets another one tonight.
I love it. Primetime Tuna.
Mike, we've covered the NBA for a long time here in this market, and the second night of back-to-backs on the road have been brutal in the NBA. Curious, how hard is that in the NHL? Is it even more difficult for teams to get wins on the second night of a back-to-back on the road? What kind of toll does that take on the players with how grueling the sport of hockey is?
Yeah, it's definitely a disadvantage to be on night 2 of a back-to-back, but it is a fact of life in the NHL. It's just something you have to deal with. And if you kind of sit there and say, woe is me, then you're forfeiting, 10, 11 games a year, because every group has to do it, especially out east. They typically have to do it a little bit more. Their travel is more in and out, where out west we go on these big kind of circular road trips to hit a bunch of stops in one go. Detroit's also on a back-to-back tonight. So they have a similar issue rest-wise. Now, they didn't have to travel. They've had a back-to-back at home, which is relatively rare. Utah had a flight in between games, which makes it tough. But you usually also see the number 2 goaltender in the second game of a back-to-back. Typically, it's like a pitching matchup. You throw your ace in game 1, and then the rest of the rotation kind of fills in after that. Typically, you play your number 1 goaltender in game 1 and your number 2 in game 2. That's not the case here this weekend for Utah, or this week for Utah. We saw Vitek Vanacek last night, who's the number 2 goaltender. We'll see Karel Vejmelka tonight for the Mammoth against Detroit, or at least we expect to see Veggie, since we did see Vitek last night.
Yeah, and that was I was talking with JJ about that. It was a rough night for Vanacek, because it was, Boston was in front of the goal the entire second and third period. It felt like on that side, the possession was obviously swung way in the direction of Detroit. And when you talk about the contrasting styles, it's hard to know when you're watching, for us, like what style is going on there. What do they match up well against? And is Detroit one of these games that they could get back because the style maybe does lean in their direction a little bit more versus, last night against Boston?
It's mostly the same team here in Detroit that we saw last year. This Red Wings team has really been constructed through the draft, so they do have some new young players that we didn't see last year. But in the 2 games last year against the Red Wings, the Mammoths split those 2 games, but in both games, they were dramatically outshot in those games. Utah didn't even get to 20 shots on goal in either of those 2 games, which most of the time you get at least 20, if not 30. Karel Vejmelka in Utah's win against Detroit last year had 38 saves on 40 shots. It was basically his second best night of the year. And Utah, what we call, they goalied Detroit, where Detroit was the better team, but Utah had a good goalie, and so it didn't really matter what the Red Wings were doing because Veggie was standing on his head. So that's how Utah got its 1 win against Detroit last year. Now, we're not expecting to see Patrick Kane tonight. We think he's still out due to injury. Of course, he's one of the greatest American-born hockey players ever, 3-time Stanley Cup champion with the Chicago Blackhawks on the back half of his career, now with Detroit, but still scoring at a really solid rate. We don't expect to see him tonight. The Red Wings do have one of the top goal scorers in the league in Alex DeBrincat, who was another Chicago Blackhawk from back in the day. But DeBrincat, I believe, is third, I want to say, with 20 goals entering tonight, or tied for third. So he's another guy who's been red hot to start the year. He had a couple last night against the New York Islanders. And the Mammoth are going to have to keep an eye on him. He's number 93 in red and white. He's lethal on the power play as well. Some of the most, I think the second most power play goals in the NHL. So he's kind of their top trigger man. But if Utah's top line can establish possession in the offensive zone, like I like our chances.
The Detroit Red Wings are a proud franchise. They're an original six franchise. They've won a lot of cups. When I was growing up, well, later in my late teens, early 20s, they had a dynasty going. It felt like the Red Wings were the premier franchise in the NHL, but they haven't been to the playoffs for 10 years. They haven't won a playoff game in 13. How important is it for the NHL to have the Red Wings be good again? Because it looks like this year they're going to end that drought.
That's a great question. And yes, they certainly have a great chance to win that drought. Talking with some Detroit people earlier today, or people around the organization, they were saying that the fans are kind of holding their breath here in Eastern Michigan because they've been let down before. They made a coaching change last year, went on a big run after the coaching change, won a bunch of games, but still came up short at the end of the season. And now they're on a franchise-long playoff drought, as you mentioned, JJ. So everybody is kind of – it's a wait-and-see atmosphere over here in Detroit. But I tell you what, when I was working in the minor leagues, we would play the Grand Rapids Griffins, which is a couple hours away in the western part of the state. And you could feel the Detroit Red Wings love and adoration emanate across the state, even into those minor league games. This has been for a long time one of the best fan bases in the NHL. It's called Hockey Town here in Detroit for a reason. Yeah. They absolutely love puck here in the Mitten State, and it's one of the most loyal fan bases, and it's obviously one of the oldest and deepest as well.
Mike Folta, radio play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth, joining us here on the program live from Detroit, where tonight the Red Wings host the Utah Mammoth, and of course earlier pregame on this one too. So a 4:30 start here in Utah, 5:30 puck drop. How's it going with the call-ups of Maverick Lamoureux and Daniil Boot? Boot has been on the ice, it seems like, quite a bit. How, now that we've gotten, I guess it's probably 5 games under the belt of watching these guys trying to do the growing up part of being on the NHL ice, how has it been so far for these young guys?
Well, the reviews for Daniil Boot have been really good so far, and head coach Andre Turney's been really pleased with Boot, who, if you didn't know, is a former first-round pick. He was taken 12th overall in 2023. He's just 20 years old. He was really good in the American Hockey League earlier this season, and he is 8 games into his NHL career. He's picked up a couple of points the last few games, his first couple NHL assists. He has gotten a ton of chances around the net, and that is something that Utah really needs.
Had a couple last night. Had a couple looks last night, yeah.
Well, and a fun number that was given to us by our stats guy, Russ, who we'll allude to on the broadcast from time to time, stats guy Russ. But he fed us this great nugget. Since Boot has been with the Utah Mammoth, he leads the team in shots from within 10 feet. Now, you'd like some of those to go in at some point, right? But it shows that he is going to those hard areas. He's establishing positioning in front of the net. And he's not just going to the net to go there. He's going there with a purpose. He's getting his stick on these pucks in front of opposing goaltenders. And that's an element that has been missing at times from this Utah group that has so much skill. They like to hang around and make plays, where Boot is a little bit more no nonsense with his skill, and he just goes right to the cage.
Do they, and the follow-up to that, because I know that they sent Maverick down, after about 5 games, is that like a, oh man, you're not ready kind of a version of it? Or is it just like, hey, we try to get these guys some time up with the club to kind of get their beak wet, so to speak, and figure it out some? Or how does that work? Are they looking at him and going, man, he's just not ready? I mean, he was also, those 2 big dudes coming out on the ice were, that was quite a presence. But, whether or not you're ready or not, that's a big deal.
No, the send down for Mav was not a demotion. I mean, it was technically, but it was not meant to be punitive. Mav was pretty good with the Mammoth in his call up this year. Wasn't taking penalties like he was last year. Was pretty stout defensively. Was physical, as you mentioned. But the biggest thing and the real reason was because Ole Mata came back from injury. He had missed around a month. And so Mata came back, and it was just a numbers game. He had too many guys up. And you probably don't want to put Nick DeSimone on waivers because he was claimed off waivers by Utah last year. So someone else would love to have him this year. But we're going to see DeSimone in on the back end. Mata will take a seat tonight. But you've got 7D when DeSimone and Mata are healthy like they are right now.
Did we lose? Oh, there he is. Okay, good. He's back.
Nick Olczyk just called me. I had to hang up on him. Sorry.
You tell Nick to wait.
Yeah, listen, you got important stuff going on here, Mike. Come on.
He just called me again. I'm going to hear about that in a little bit.
Yeah, that's what happens when that's the only problem with this Airlink is once somebody tries to call you, they go, "Hey, this is the priority of your phone is Nick Olczyk." I get it. It's fine.
It's okay. I understand.
Look, these are good. These are good-looking men, man. Like, I mean, I feel like you slept in that suit last night, Mike. You've had the suit on. I feel like for like 48 hours straight.
Come on, no, different jacket. I had two jackets, three shirts, 3 ties for a 3-game trip. That should give me enough variance.
I can tell you got a system. You're a real pro now.
No, that's good.
That's efficient.
JJ does the TV thing. He knows. He knows the score.
How to handle
he knows that people are looking. They go, "What happened? You wore the same tie in four nights ago." It's like, who's watching all this? Mike heavens.
Pretty creepy, actually. But Mike, before we cut you loose, this Red Wings team is red hot right now, 6-1-1 in their last 8. The Mammoth obviously have been struggling a bit. What do the Mammoth have to do second out of a back-to-back tonight to get a win in Detroit?
I think they got to get a really good start. This Detroit team has been they haven't been as good of a first period team as they have been a second period team. So I think getting that start is going to be important. Oh, they're showing Larry Bird on the Jumbotron right now. That's great. Indiana State legend out of French Lick.
The Sycamores.
That's right. Yeah, Roll Timber.
Oh,
Roll Timber. God. They're showing Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Sorry, a little Indiana basketball there for you.
Yeah.
But this Mammoth group has to get out to a good start. They got out to a good start last night against Boston. Had a really good first period. Were the much better team in the first period. They have to be able to have that second push. Most of Utah's wins this year have been comeback wins, but they also are among the league leaders in blown losses or blown lead losses, where they had a lead at one point and then lost it to lose the game. So the Mammoth, I think, have to have that second surge, because one thing that we've seen throughout games that Utah is involved in is that the team who scores first oftentimes doesn't win. So it's a lot of times whoever has that second surge that comes out on top.
Well, Mike, we'll cut you loose here as you get ready for this one tonight. We appreciate all the coverage you guys are doing. It's and it is a hustle on the road. Our guy Cole Bagley also out on the road and doing the thing, and he almost accidentally went into Canada today, and then he got searched at the border thanks to a fun Uber drive. So at least that wasn't you.
I just saw him in the meal room, and he was making fun of me for walking through downtown Detroit to get to the arena, and I was making fun of him for almost being detained by the Mounties in Ontario.
I love it. Well, Mike, have a good call tonight. We'll be listening and watching, of course, and thanks for hanging out. And tell Nick to wait his turn next time, huh?
JJ, Alex, thank you guys.
Thanks, Mike. Enjoy the road.
Mike Folta joining us courtesy of the folks at Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. Mike is you talk about a guy who's going out there, and it's a hard thing to read this team sometimes, because you're traveling with the team essentially, right? I mean, you're right there, and you're doing all the stuff. You're going with them everywhere, and these ups and downs are tough in this league, man. And I asked him about Boot because he is on the ice a lot. It seems like. You said big number 19 out there a lot more, and I'm just waiting for him to finally get that first goal. He's got a couple assists, but, I think he's waiting there to get that thing and make it happen. But I'm excited about that. But we'll see. Detroit, tough team, obviously. Anytime you go into Detroit, it's a tough one. Man, I think that logo, I think the Detroit Red Wings logo might be top 5 in all pro sports. It is like, don't give me that look. What are you talking about? Napolis is like, what? He's like, the Rams when they're in St. Louis. Come on. Tell me that's not a classic logo, dude. It's a freaking giant wheel with a wing on it, man.
The winged wheel.
It's awesome.
I think of Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off every time I see the Red
absolutely.
Wings.
Wearing the. By the way, did you know that was an actual Gordie Howe worn jersey? Gordie Howe
amazing.
gave it to the production for them to be able to wear it.
That's so cool.
I know. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We have more around the corner here. We've got you for another hour. So just stay tuned in here before you get to some Utah Mammoth hockey coming up at 4:30. You're going to get the pregame and then a 5:30 puck drop there. When we return, let's talk a little bit about BYU's got a real problem with their schedule for football next year after they had a subtraction from just this morning because of the ACC and the mess that they are. But also, they've got an issue. They've got to find a P4 opponent next year. We'll talk about it next right here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen,
The biggest name. You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. You can nominate the U Sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week Award. Submit that nomination, KSLSports.com/contest, and every Thursday afternoon we read off a winner for you. Nominate the person who does that volunteer thing with your kid's team or a local team there that they don't get that. They're the unsung hero, man. But we want to sing their praises. So let's get it going. Just submit that nomination and why that person should deserve this award. KSLSports.com/contest, and then they get a prize from Hercules Credit Union and Beehive Meals, who sponsor that program. So it's awesome. Okay. BYU and Cal get canceled. And this was coming down. I think a lot of people sort of knew something may be happening because the ACC is moving to, or the ACC's got a 9-game schedule they're going to, except it's like, how many is it? Is it 12 and then 6? Is it 12 and then 6? So every year,
some of the teams are only doing 8.
a certain amount of the conference is doing a 9-game schedule.
Clemson and Florida State are still playing 8 conference games next year.
Yeah.
And there's, as you say, there's a group of others.
There's a
Yep,
6
there you go.
teams, so it's 12 and 6. So 12 are doing a 9-game schedule, and I'm assuming Cal's one of those because they took BYU off the schedule. And I think this is going to be interesting because this game was on the schedule for next year. BYU has to figure out a couple of things. One, a home game has gone away. Now, not gone away. They're just going to have to replace it.
But you got to replace it with a Power 4.
It has to be a Power 4 because the Big 10 or the Big 12 requires that you have 10 Power 4 opponents.
And they have the same problem again in 2027.
Because Cal, that series just got canceled. Now, I don't know how easy or hard it's going to be for I would assume it's not going to be easy sledding here for them to be able to get an opponent. And I don't know if the Big 12 is going to be like, yeah, man, you better figure it out. You better add a Power 4. What Power 4s at this point don't have their 2026
and
year locked
specifically
in?
September 12th. It's got to be September 12th. It's got to be a team in the Power 4 that's
That's a
willing to
great
come
point.
to Provo
Yeah.
on September 12th, 2026. And then, of course, you could return that game in their stadium in 2027 because they already have 2 home games scheduled for 2027, which is Weber State and Pac-12's Oregon State. So they have the room for the road game in 2027. If BYU was looking for a road game against a Power 4 on that date, it would be a little bit easier to fill. But what Power 4 team wants to go on the road and play BYU on September 12th next year with Bear Bachmeier at quarterback and potentially an LJ Martin return?
I brought this up.
Good luck.
Is Brian Santiago going to have to make that awkward call to the old athletic director and go, hey, man, who are the people that you call on those last-minute things when you're doing independence? I mean, obviously he's got those same connections, but Tom Holma was the master of just let's make a schedule. This is a guy who had to put a COVID schedule together. You know what I mean? But you've got to find a Power 4 opponent who has the 12th of September open. There's got to be a scheduling matrix out there somewhere.
Well, I would do – this is what I would do. Now,
Notre Dame, are they available? They like coming to Provo, don't they?
they might be.
Come on. No.
So what you could do, and this would be my suggestion. It's going to be tough to get any of them to agree. I would start calling all the Big Ten teams. Because if you looked at some of their non-conference schedules, because they played the 9-game schedule, a lot of those teams scheduled garbage in the non-conference. And we know, we've talked about that on the show. Indiana, Penn State, Michigan, they all play non-conference garbage. Some rare times they've stepped up. Well, Ohio State played Texas this year, give them credit. But there's a lot of Big Ten teams that have the 9-game schedule, but they're not playing that extra 10th Power 4 game. So call them and see, hey, is there one of those G5 or FCS teams on your schedule that are willing to punt, will help you pay the buyout, and let's work out a home and home.
Okay.
Because you need that 10th Big 12 game. It would improve your playoff situation.
Yeah.
And we need it too. But unfortunately, we need you to come to Provo this year. We will come next year. That's where I would start.
So right now, I mean, you're going to have to break contracts if they're going to get that to happen, because right now, the only teams with openings as of fall of for the 2026 season is BYU, Jacksonville State, Kent State, Oregon State, and San Diego State. Would they allow an exception for Oregon State to come to Provo? And again, is the 12th open? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Here's another option. Is there are ACC teams that only have the 8 games.
So you're gonna have to call up
Clemson?
and break. Yeah, you're gonna have to have them break.
Do you call Florida State? Georgia Tech, who is their Pop-Tarts Bowl?
No way they're gonna come to Provo.
North Carolina, would Bill Belichick come to Provo?
No way. See, I bet they're gonna
Boston
end up.
College is the other team. Those are your options.
I bet they're gonna end up having to do a neutral site, and you're only gonna get 5 home games if that's the case.
Those are the only Power 4 teams right now that have an open date on September 12th. Are those 5 ACC opponents? That's your only option. And you're going to ask any of those 5 to come to Provo this fall?
Nope.
Are they going to do it?
No, I'm saying they won't.
Do they need that game? But they need.
You got to ask.
They have to get their Power 4 game.
Well, and you can say we'll return.
They have to add Power 4 teams to their schedule.
Yeah, and you say, hey, we'll return the trip next year. Even we'll go back.
Home and home, Clemson.
Ooh, there's no way. Clemson will still try to big time everybody. I just don't know. Like, what is that going to turn into? And how do you handle this?
Right now,
BYU?
Clemson has a game against Georgia Southern, and it's a home game.
Well, yeah.
Are they willing to give that up?
Remember when BYU went and played Georgia Southern at their stadium? And it was kind of a tough game for them.
Right.
Gosh, Independence sucked.
Those days are long gone.
It's just wild for me. So in the end, the scheduling situation is going to get weird for BYU because it's a very oddly specific, hey, can you come play us at home, Power 4 team? Hey, can you do it on September 12th?
It's going to be tough.
So
that's the best solution is the ACC 5 teams that have that are seeking. They're seeking that Power 4 game.
So they are looking for it.
They need it.
They have to have it.
Correct.
According to their conference rules.
Even though those 5 teams are only playing 8 conference games, you don't want to give the committee an excuse. Like you need to toughen up your schedule, right? If you're Clemson and you're Georgia Tech and Florida State and you think you got a chance next year, you got to boost up your schedule strength.
Weirdest buyout in the history of
a road game at BYU would do that.
The weirdest buyout in college football history, not really, but a weird buyout would be BYU having to pay Georgia Southern so that Clemson could come to Provo. And then the next year, a return trip to that Death Valley. Because there's 2. But anyway, I think it's look, but if you're BYU, sign up for it's big boy football now. You've got to get a 10th team on that, or you got to get a 10th Power 4 team on. Buck up and figure out how to make it happen. And if those teams are serious about it, they've got to lean into it too. They've got to find a P4 opponent. BYU would be a perfect one. I say perfect in the sense that it's a hard game to go play in Provo, man, on September 12th.
Boom, I got a solution.
What conference is it?
This is probably not something that they're willing to do.
Can I guess? What conference?
It's ACC.
Okay.
There's an ACC team with an open date on the 12th.
On the 12th? Is it Duke?
It is not.
Belichick.
No, it's not. That has a lot. They have a 12th game and it's in Chapel Hill, so they're not going to want to do the road game thing.
Okay.
But here's the problem. Now this is a solution, but if this team came to Provo on the 12th and played BYU in Provo, they would then have to go to Alabama the next Saturday in Tuscaloosa.
Is it Miami?
It's Florida State.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The Seminoles have an open date on the 12th. They do not have a game scheduled.
Hey, they've been here before. They beat the tar out of BYU that one year here in Provo.
Oh, that 2009 team. I remember.
And then the return trip down to Florida State was a tough one too. So I got a little bit of a history there.
That would be, I think, an awesome solution, but I don't know that Florida State is willing to play ball there because back-to-back road games against Alabama and BYU sound terrible. Now, Georgia Tech has a September 12th game against Tennessee already scheduled in Atlanta, Georgia at Bobby Dodd Stadium. They're not giving that up.
All right, so that's probably out.
Then if those ACC teams don't do it, then you start calling around at the Big Ten and seeing if some of those big name teams in the Big Ten are willing to move one of their cupcakes for you.
Well, even if it's like a Purdue, and you go, hey,
it's a Power 4 game. It
and
counts.
And the return trip is important too for those teams. So if they get it the next year, if they're able to do it, because that has to work out also. If they don't have a game on the schedule for 27,
yes,
the home and home would have to be punted to a different year, which also could happen. I mean, that's part of it. A lot of times, the back-to-back years of playing them, that actually doesn't happen nearly as much as we would think. Normally, BYU will play a team that they'll host or they'll go to them, and then the return game is like in 29 or 30. You know what I mean? So, all right. Choices. We'll see. And you know what? None of these teams want to put BYU on the schedule who feel like they have a massive chip on their shoulder, and you play them in Provo. These big teams would be like, hey, man. Or they look at it and they don't run from the fight.
Let me offer one last
Gotta
solution.
do it.
One last solution.
Who is it?
And I will appeal to this team. This team has 3 non-conference games scheduled that are crap. They're all home games.
Wait,
did
you say ACC? You said ACC
This is
team?
the Big Ten.
Oh, wow.
This would be a massive opponent. This is a team that needs to boost their schedule. They really, really should consider adding a Power 4 team to their non-conference. And they're at home, all 3. They should go on the road and not be afraid to prove something. The Indiana Hoosiers have the Howard Bison scheduled on September 12th in Bloomington. You already have North Texas on the 5th and Western Kentucky on the September 19th in Bloomington already. Come play BYU in Provo on September 12th.
You think Cignetti's afraid of anybody?
No, I think this would be amazing.
Oh.
They have a history. They have played in bowl game before. Why not? I think that's the perfect solution.
All right, so there you go, BYU.
But now does Indiana want to give up? So Indiana has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 home games. Do they want to give up one of those? And they're cupcakes, right? Outside of their Big 12 schedule. I'm throwing that out there. I'm sure these 80s are a lot smarter than us. They'll figure it out. But that's a phone call I would make. And now is Indiana willing to exchange a home game against Howard for a road game against the BYU team next fall? I don't know, but that's what I would do. And then you return the trip to Bloomington the next year. And maybe they've got Kennesaw State, Indiana State, and UMass in 2027.
Okay.
Come on, Hoosiers.
Grow up, Cignetti.
Do it. And those games are scheduled in Bloomington.
Hey, we Googled you, Cignetti. And you know what we found? Pretty soft out-of-conference schedule.
That's the solution. Call Indiana today.
All right.
Let's get a home and home with the Hoosiers.
All right. I love it.
Problem solved.
Oh,
there
yeah.
you go.
Annapolis. That's a good point.
I tell you who won't be there in that game is Fernando Mendoza.
Defending national champions, Indiana coming to Provo? Sure.
I like it.
Why not?
I like it.
With a different Mendoza at quarterback? Because his little brother looks exactly like him and I think wears one number off of him.
Crazy.
What if that ends up happening? He wins a Heisman as well in a couple of years. No way. All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got more. I've got a top 10 for JJ right around the corner. It's Heisman based, so this is right up his alley. Stay with us, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up in about 30 minutes, you're going to get coverage of the Utah Mammoth versus the Detroit Red Wings. That pregame starts up at 4:30 today, so we'll be abbreviated in our show today. But you can, of course, dip in on the radio home of Utah Mammoth right here. Before we get into it, JJ, I've got a top 10 for you, but I've got to give away some stuff here because it's a Win Ticket Wednesday. Call number 12 right now. 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-9663. And that'll get you 2 tickets to Youngblood Idols, the World Tour at the UCCU Center in Orem on May 13th of 2026. Just give us a call right now. Be calling number 12 on a Win Ticket Wednesday, 801-575-ZONE. I've got a top 10. All right. Here's what I got for you.
Sweet.
Now, it's a little subjective, but I do have an actual list that a couple. It's drawing from a few different places, and I've compiled a list, and the list is the top 10 people who didn't win the Heisman Trophy that got quote unquote robbed, or somebody who was like, "Wow, I can't believe that guy didn't win the Heisman Trophy." I've got a few in front of me. Okay.
Okay.
I will say it's all pretty contemporary, right? And I've got a few other ones that are kind of in the category of, yeah, they should have been there too. So 60 seconds on the clock. Here we go. Can you name them? On your mark, get set, go.
Peyton Manning.
Bing.
Ashton Genty. Bo Nix. Michael Penix Jr.
Not this contemporary. You got to still think a little bit in the past.
Okay.
Come on.
That didn't win.
I just meant like you weren't going to get a 50s guy. You know what I mean?
Biggest Heisman snubs. Oh, gosh. Derrick Henry won. No, that wouldn't be it. Lamar Jackson won. Dan Marino. Jim McMahon.
Oh, that would have been a good one.
I'm just going through the years. Josh Allen.
Yeah, he should have won.
Like, who are the best NFL players that didn't win Heisman trophies? I mean, that's tough.
Because then you have to think about if they won it or not.
Drake May.
Was he that good in college?
In North Carolina?
Yeah, he was close. He threw the ball up
He
there.
just didn't win enough. Oh, gosh, this is a really hard one.
I know.
I mean, I nailed Peyton Manning because that's the big controversial
It's the one
year.
at the very top.
That's the I did very poorly today.
I didn't think it would be this. I wouldn't have done any better because it's hard to boot up who the people were that were snubbed at the moment.
Right. I was trying to go through.
What'll happen is they'll have a good pro career maybe, and then you go, or they were just so good in college that you go, they didn't win? Okay. Here's the list that I got. Michael Vick.
Okay.
At Vatech back in 99.
Who won the year he won it? Or who won the year that he was good?
That's a great question. Don't know.
Oh.
Adrian Peterson didn't win it in 2004. Yeah, pull up the winners. There's just going to be a list right there. So Adrian Peterson didn't win it in 2004. Now, this is a big one that people had on all the lists I looked at. And I think that nowadays you may get this because Jacob Rodriguez is one of these guys. Obviously, Travis Hunter opened the door a little bit too. But Ndamukong Suh was considered he finished third in the Heisman voting in 2009. Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald is considered basically
It's a good one.
After Peyton Manning, probably the one that should have won. He finished second in 2003. Deshaun Watson didn't win. Darren McFadden, who was the running back at Arkansas, and he finished second. He finished second once and then third another time. That's pretty tough. Tommy Frazier from Nebraska did not win.
Yeah, that's right.
That would have been a really good one. And then Andrew Luck, also on the list.
I have an all-timer.
Who do you have?
Herschel Walker in 1980.
Oh, yeah. I'd throw in also like a Marshall Faulk.
Yeah, it's another one. Yep.
So,
George Rogers, I believe, won the Heisman in 1980.
Christian McCaffrey didn't win it.
You know who else got snubbed? Jim Brown at Syracuse way back in the day.
Now, again, this is a name that I think would probably pop up now more than it would back in the day because they just didn't even consider defenders.
Right.
Deion Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
Would have been a phenomenal pick.
Yep.
It would have been a cool one.
Yep.
But there you go. That's a tough one. But those are the quote-unquote group of robbed, snubbed Heisman winners.
Eddie George won the year Tommy Frazier. So Eddie George was awesome.
He was good.
Gino Torretta won the Heisman Trophy when
I know.
Marshall Faulk was at San Diego State.
I know.
That's a bad one.
But, yeah, Marshall Faulk was at San Diego State. It was almost like, you didn't see the types of wins. It's like they don't hand it out to non-Power 4 people anymore.
I got another good one.
What do you have?
It's a little controversial, though.
OJ?
It's OJ in
Oh,
1967.
No. He didn't win it?
No, well,
Ever?
he won it, but he didn't win in 1967.
well-
They gave it to UCLA quarterback Gary Beeman. Do you even know who that is?
Oh, the B-Meister?
Right, the B-Meister. You gave a nickname to somebody you've never heard of before.
It is funny that you think about the string of like the Jason Whites and things like that who won the Heisman Trophy, and you're like, what are we doing? I think Mendoza's probably going to be one of those guys that you go, ooh, oh yeah, I forgot that guy won it.
Could be. We'll see how he does in the pros.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll come back around the corner and we'll get you with some more conversations about the college football year and the quarterback carousel that's hitting. I'll tell you what, the Big 12 has got some movement, and Texas Tech might have found somebody. Hey, Hans and Scotty are going to be out at Minky Couture in Draper on Thursday, noon to 3. Minky Couture has you covered this holiday season. Best gift ever. Visit minkycouture.com and see those guys at the location there in Draper on Thursday. We'll come back. More to go. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.